Do you know that a decision of Donald Trump has shaken Germany and Canada? The countries which were each other's closest allies are now standing on the verge of a trade war. Trump announced that America will have to protect its industry, and after this, he imposed a huge tariff of 25% on the import of steel and aluminum.
Everybody, steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
25%.
But Germany and Canada are not going to back down so easily. Both countries called this decision unfair and warned of retaliation. Now the question arises whether this tough policy of America will really benefit it, or will it have consequences for America itself? If you are thinking that this dispute will be limited only to America, Germany, and Canada, then you are wrong. This whole matter can shake the economy of the world. Watch this video till the end, because we will tell you how this new trade war will affect your pocket and everyday life. This trade war began when US President Donald Trump announced that America needed to protect its industries. As part of this effort, he imposed steep tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, slapping a hefty 25% tax on these materials. The decision was shocking, as it directly impacted two of America's closest trading partners, Germany and Canada. Steel and aluminum are more than just raw materials. They are the backbone of key industries such as automobile manufacturing, defense, and machinery. With the US imposing a 25% tariff, Germany and Canada face significant setbacks. Germany is Europe's largest steel producer, while Canada has been America's top steel supplier for decades. As soon as the tariffs were enforced, both countries denounced the move as unfair and threatened immediate retaliation. But Trump didn't stop there. He went on to suggest that he could also impose a 25% tax on European car imports. This is where the dispute escalated into a serious crisis. If such a tariff had been imposed, Germany would have been the hardest hit. Major automakers like BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen export millions of vehicles to the US each year. A tax hike of thousands of dollars per vehicle would have led to a sharp decline in sales, dealing a severe blow to Germany's economy. Given that the automobile sector supports millions of jobs, the stakes were incredibly high. For Germany, this was no longer just a trade dispute. It had become a fight for economic survival. Trade policies in Europe are typically determined by the European Union, EU. Recently, Germany has emphasized that it is awaiting the EU's decisions. However, Germany retains the autonomy to make decisions in its own interest, independent of influence from other EU member states. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has urged Europe to maintain pressure on the United States to support NATO and to avoid any forced peace agreements regarding Ukraine. Additionally, Germany has committed to spending 100 billion euros to bolster its security, signaling its intent to prioritize its own defense and policy initiatives without waiting for EU approval. This move has led some countries to question whether Germany is prioritizing its own interests over those of the EU. In response, Germany has clarified that its actions are not meant to weaken the EU, but rather to take swift measures to protect its industries. Meanwhile, Canada has also been drawn into the broader trade dispute. As one of the largest suppliers of steel and aluminum to the US, Canada's economy has been directly impacted by new tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has criticized the US for unfair treatment and vowed to respond. Initially, Canada considered imposing retaliatory tariffs on products that would specifically target American political leaders. However, it later decided against acting alone in this trade battle. This situation took a new turn when both Germany and Canada recognized that they were facing a common challenge: America's stringent trade policies. This realization has the potential to foster closer collaboration between the two nations in addressing shared economic concerns. Now, both Germany and Canada have joined forces to devise a strategy against the United States. By imposing retaliatory tariffs together, they could exert significant pressure on America, as it would be challenging for the US to confront both nations simultaneously. The European Union, however, expressed confusion over Germany's decision to act without its consent. Germany defended its stance, arguing that remaining silent would lead to massive losses for its industries. When the Trump administration learned of the alliance between Germany and Canada, it adopted an aggressive posture, warning that any action against the US would be met with even stricter measures. This raises the critical question: could this dispute escalate into a full-blown trade war? If Germany and Canada proceed with retaliatory tariffs, American companies could face substantial losses. In turn, If the US responds with additional tariffs, it could trigger turmoil in the global market. American businesses exporting to Germany and Canada would suffer, and ordinary citizens could feel the impact through rising inflation, as increased tariffs would drive up the cost of goods. The situation now hinges on whether a middle ground can be found. If not, the world may be headed toward a serious trade war with far-reaching consequences. Several outcomes are possible. First, the US, Germany, and Canada could negotiate a compromise, reducing some tariffs to ease tensions. Second, if the US refuses to back down and Germany and Canada continue their retaliatory measures, a global trade war could erupt. Third, if American companies incur significant losses, political pressure within the US might mount, potentially leading to a policy shift under a future administration. The stakes are high, and the world watches to see how this complex dispute will unfold. The ongoing tariff dispute between the United States and Germany could have significant ripple effects on India. Recently, US President Donald Trump has implemented a policy of increasing import tariffs on multiple countries, including India. Under this approach, the US plans to impose the same tariff rates on foreign products as other countries impose on American goods. This could be particularly challenging for India, which is known for its high tariff rates. For instance, the average tariff rate in India is around 17%, whereas in the US, it stands at just 3.3%. If the US enforces reciprocal tariffs on Indian exports, the prices of Indian goods in the American market could rise, leading to a decline in demand. As a result, Indian exporters may struggle to maintain their competitive edge in the US. Beyond India, this trade conflict could also impact China. If the US raises tariffs on German imports, Germany may look to China as an alternative supplier, potentially boosting Chinese exports. However, escalating global trade tensions could also disrupt China's supply chains and economic stability. Meanwhile, Germany's business and political leaders have urged the European Union not to follow the US in imposing additional tariffs on Chinese goods, warning that such actions would drive up prices and hurt consumers and businesses alike. Ultimately, there will be no single winner in this trade war. If tensions persist, all involved parties, including Germany, Canada, and the US, will face economic setbacks. The real question is whether these countries will set aside their differences and work toward a resolution, or allow this trade dispute to escalate further. Will the Trump administration yield to pressure, or will it double down on stricter measures? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the global economy will feel the impact. If you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest global developments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.